Hello everyone, and welcome to our show, where you will hear about everyday miracles happening in people's lives. God is real and sends His angels to help us, especially when we pray to them. Today I have one story, so let's begin. The following was recounted by Nurse Elliott at Providence Hospital in the late 1980s. I always wanted to work in a smaller hospital where I could offer a more caring service to my patients. Larger hospitals were typically less personal, and the opportunity to give as much care as possible was important to me. One of my patients was Audrey Hoffman. She had a serious life-threatening condition called sepsis. When she entered the hospital, she was in a comatose state and her blood pressure was seriously low. It appeared she only had a little time left to live. After a few days, her condition didn't seem to be getting any better, and I noticed no visitors came to see her. Her doctor said she may never wake up from her coma. I felt bad that Mrs. Hoffman was alone like this, even though she may not be aware if anyone did come to visit. But personally, I believe that patients in a comatose state can still sense the presence of those around them, especially when we talk to them. I inquired whether anyone was able to locate a loved one, and the head nurse told me that they were able to contact her son. He was in the Army and deployed in Panama, but was arranging an emergency leave. I prayed that he would arrive here before his mother passed away. That same day, I noticed that someone did finally come to visit Mrs. Hoffman. He was a nice-looking elderly gentleman. The head nurse mentioned that the community liaison nurse probably reached out to her church, so it might have been her minister. Soon after the man left, I checked Mrs. Hoffman's vitals, and her blood pressure had improved quite a bit, which was very unusual for someone in her overall condition. I checked with the doctors, and they told me there was no explanation for it. I thank God for this sudden improvement, that it might have secured enough time that her son would be able to make it in time to see his mother one more time. Unfortunately, by the morning, Mrs. Hoffman's vital signs had dropped back down, which didn't bode well for her or her son, who hopefully was on his way home from Panama. The doctors told me it would take a miracle for Mrs. Hoffman to make it through this. I wanted so much for her to pull through though, and I kept praying to God to bring her perfect healing, if it was God's will. The head nurse, seeing my deep concern, said I'm going to get worn out if I keep on getting involved with the patients I take care of. I disagreed. Every nurse should take part in the healing process, offering prayers and the best care whenever possible. I told her I believe in miracles, and even if Mrs. Hoffman's condition looks hopeless, she still may pull out of it by God's grace. The next day, the same gentleman visitor came again and continued his visits for the next few days. Each time he would hold what looked like a Bible in one hand and in the other Mrs. Hoffman's hand while offering prayers. Strangely, every time he left, Mrs. Hoffman's condition would immediately improve. In fact, to the doctor's complete surprise, one day she woke up out of her coma, and suddenly she was on her way to a complete recovery. When her son finally arrived, he was grateful to see his mother awake, aware, and on her way to complete healing. He met with the doctors who told him they want her to stay a couple more days, but she should be able to go home soon. He told me that her mother is very tough and really threw the doctors for a loop. They didn't have a lot of hope that she would ever recover. He thanked us all for taking such good care of her. Mrs. Hoffman was moved from the intensive care unit to the recovery wing downstairs, so after my shift I went to see how things were going and to drop off a Bible that was left in her room in the ICU. She was bright and cheery, and the minister who was standing near her bed gave me a warm smile, nodded a goodbye, and walked out. After our hellos, I handed the Bible to her. Mrs. Hoffman asked where I got it. I told her the minister must have left it the last time he came to visit. Minister, she asked? My husband gave me that Bible. I brought it with us every time we went to church. Mrs. Hoffman showed me a photo of her husband, Jack, and recognizing he was the same man who came visiting so often, I told her I thought he was her minister. Oh no, Jack was never in the clergy. He was an engineer until he passed away 2 years ago. My jaw dropped. I said, he was just here visiting you. I saw him next to your bed." She said, "No, you're the first visitor I had today, dear." The next day, I checked with my coworkers and found to my complete surprise that I was the only person who saw that man praying at Mrs. Hoffman's bedside. It was then that I realized that my faith in God and heartfelt prayers must have allowed me to see an angel who came to heal Mrs. Hoffman. Maybe her late husband really is an angel. I don't know. But whatever mystery had unfolded these last several days, I feel so blessed to have been a witness to this miracle. My faith in God and His host has become stronger ever since. Thank you for listening. Miracles can and do happen every day. How about you? If you have a special story you would like to share on this channel, please send it to us for a possible future show.